So, you want to train on a heavy bag. I think this is a great idea for anyone looking to get into great shape and have a lot of fun while doing it. Now, I am a firm believer that there is no substitute for proper instruction. That means going out, if you really want to get into this stuff and learn the proper way to do this, going out and finding a proper trainer or a proper gym or team to train with and learning these things in the most technical way. But if you have a bag at your gym or at your home gym and you're just looking to get that work in and you're not really interested in getting all that extra instruction, I still feel that you need to learn how to do this properly. So I wanted to outline some things that I feel are pretty important. A, to just make sure you're doing it right. B, to make sure you do it in a way that you don't hurt yourself. And C, so that you're doing it in a way that keeps it fun and interesting. Because trust me, man, if you just step in front of a bag and just haul off and you're hitting it, that does start to get mundane after a while. And I've seen it happen time and time again. It's because you're not applying additional techniques to keep things interesting. So let's get started. Now, why should you be looking to get your cardio in on a heavy bag? Because it keeps things fun, guys. It's a super hard workout. I mean, if you ask me, it's way better than repetitive things like running and stuff like that. Also, there is a reason why cardio kickboxing, cardio boxing, and actual athletes, fighters, use heavy bag work to get into great shape. It's effective. And if you're gonna get in shape, you might as well kick a little ass and get some aggression out. To do this effectively, I feel like you need to have decent form. You really need to get the basics down. Be sure to look the part, and then you can feel really good about your training. Now, number one, let's pick your posture. Okay, so we don't want to be like this. We don't want to have our hands down. We need to understand the basic posture of striking. All right, so we're not here. What you want to do, and I'm going to cover this briefly and quickly, because when it comes to the posture of fighting, it all depends on the type of striking you're doing. And if you really want to get technical, again, that's something you need to get from proper instruction from a proper coach. But real basic overview. You want to have your hands up. I always like to keep my triceps attached to my ribs. So this is good posture in life. You want to have good posture. When it comes to striking, you want to have bad posture. So I always tell my students, bad posture. So bad posture, I slump my shoulders forward. Okay, my triceps kind of on my ribs. I don't want my hands coming down. I like to keep my hands just above my eyes. And in Muay Thai, we do number 11 like this, but I'm generally around here, okay, just below my eyes. My chin's tucked, eyes up, okay? And this is my posture. The reason here is because then I can go up, I can go down, but I keep my hands just below my eyes, again, so I can block up and I can block my body. Now let's talk about where our hands should be when we're striking. You don't want to be throwing punches all wide like this, okay? I have been teaching cardio kickboxing classes on top of actual striking classes and training fighters, and I will tell you, it does not matter if someone is in a actual striking class, a Muay Thai class or boxing class, or they're in a cardio kickboxing class. Everyone goes with this haymaker style thing with their hands coming down and their face fully exposed and their chin up. So again, observe the proper posture, okay? And then it's what I call sword and shield, all right? If this is my sword, this is my shield. Sword and shield. This is my sword. This is my shield. Sword and shield. So there's some basic rules we need to understand. When a strike goes out, it always comes home. You don't punch like this and bring your hand down to your waist and throw the other punch, okay? None of this karate stuff. When the punch goes out, it always comes home. When I use a sword, I better have a shield. So keep that in mind when you're hitting your bag. Don't just haul off, and if you're a beginner or advanced, at some point you were that person that you were hitting the bag all wide like this with your face fully exposed. This goes back to looking the part, feeling good about your training. And I always say this, anything worth doing is worth doing right. So if you're gonna hit a heavy bag, you might as well learn to do it right. And hone in on these details so you can be proud of your training while having a lot of fun doing it. So that's pretty much it I'm going to cover on decent form, mainly because when it comes to proper techniques, guys, that's a whole chain of videos, not even one video. That is when I say you need to go get instruction. Because if when it comes to like teaching you all the proper techniques on every single punch, every single kick, that's very lengthy. And again, I'm just giving you a brief overview. Now, let's learn how to actually strike this heavy bag properly. The first thing you can do to really learn how to land your punches the way they're supposed to land is landing specifically with these two knuckles. Now, there's some general rules that need to be covered when it comes to striking, as far as like bringing the hand back faster than it went out, always bringing it back to home. Again, these are extensive boxing lessons that I am not going to cover in great detail in this video. But this one is one of them. Landing my two knuckles, okay? Landing my two knuckles. When I land these knuckles, it's teaching me how to land my punch properly. So I usually do this without any gloves on so I can feel the knuckles connecting to the bag. Now, I'm not telling you to get in like bare knuckle boxing rounds. That is not what I'm saying. It's nice and light. Boom, 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 boom. Ha, 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 ha. Just rotating my fist the proper way, ensuring that these knuckles are landing as they should. That's going to help you learn how to strike the bag properly and what it should feel like. It provides a degree of sensory activation. And when you put your glove on, trust me, you will feel that through the glove, and you'll know exactly how you should be turning your punch over to land accurately on the bag. And next, when it comes to striking the heavy bag, it's a matter of managing your distance. You truly need to understand what that means, okay? People get on a heavy bag and they haven't trained before, or even if they have, some reason everyone feels like they need to be this close. And they start fighting their bag like this, and everything's tight and nothing extends. And even their 1-2s are like this because they want to be fast. And they think in shortening their punch gets to the bag a little faster, okay? All of this is wrong. You're developing really bad habits, and you're just not striking properly. And you don't look the part. It just looks like an angry kid. And you've seen people do it, and you've probably done it yourself. So that's another thing you gain by landing your knuckles, is in order to land your knuckles properly and get proper rotation, you learn the distance. You learn to keep that bag at the proper distance, okay? If you're throwing strikes and some hooks bring you close to your bag, well then, if you step in, you need to step back out. Just because you came forward and you got close doesn't mean you have to fight the rest of your round this close. If you step in, you can take an angle, step off, get your distance back this way, or you get close, you just regain your distance, or you just step back and reset. But remember, manage your distance. Coming in behind distance is really learning to snap or pop your punches, not push your punches. Now, if I'm tight like this, it could become very easy for me to like push. And so what people do is they push their punches. And I see a lot of beginners thinking that somehow this pushing is strong or powerful because it's moving the bag maybe. It's not. Now, what you want to do again, and when you maintain your distance, your punches should pop, they should snap, because I have the right distance, right? Then, when you've gotten good at this popping at the end, snapping your punch and getting that nice pop on the bag at the end, then speed will come into effect. I always tell my students, technique, then speed. When you have your technique and your speed, now you have power. So I'm throwing the right technique with a good amount of speed, that will give me power. Next, let's just talk about like learning to generate powers for your punch, or just learning to punch properly by starting from the ground up. I always tell my students, your punches start in the earth. Now again, this could be a whole video series in itself as far as teaching you how to punch properly, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. Okay, so here's just a brief overview. What I always say is from the floor to the core to the shoulder to the fist. Okay? So what you have to understand is you have to push off the floor. What people tend to do when they punch is they're throwing a baseball and they always punch like this and pick up this back foot. And that's wrong, but you get excited. And you think that all the power is up here in these hands, so you're like swimming like this and your leg keeps lifting. If your legs come off the ground, you're doing it wrong. Because your feet should be rooted to generate power all the way up from the bottom to the top. From your foot to your core, to your shoulder, to your fist. So, if I'm throwing a punch, I drive, I'm pushing off this foot, I'm digging into the ground. I push off this leg, get the proper rotation, I engage my core, boom, now my shoulder's ready to go, and then it ends in my fist. Whether it be a jab, cross, or even the hook, driving this. Okay, again. So learn to throw your punches properly by understanding in a very basic level that you need to push off the ground. And then bring that power all the way up into your hands. Now the next portion is going to be about movement, okay? Don't be stationary, okay? Get off the center line. Be defensive and stay busy. The mistake we make when we start hitting the heavy bag, a lot of beginners, is it's all offense. And they just get super excited and they just go ham on that bag. And it's all offense. That's a hard way to hit a heavy bag. That's a lot of exertion. Defense is the other part, okay? As far as understanding, the way I view it is, I tell people, once you hit a target, when you hit a person, they are going to try and hit you. You gotta move, man. So don't be stationary. When I say center line, I always envision that the bag is the center line, right? So I try to get off the center line and I move. When I strike, I'm moving, right? And I'm defensive. And just keep moving. So it adds another facet to your heavy bag workout as far as not always striking, as far as not always putting out offense, but mixing in movement for defense. And it's a way to rest. Just move. Practice your distance. When you're in a good flow and you're having a great heavy bag round, right? Moving or practicing your defense is a good way to rest in between your combos or your flurries, right? Shh, 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 shh. Rest. Move your feet. Shh. It's called active rest. So I tell people in my main classes and my cardio kickboxing classes, you know, when you're hauling off and you're having a hard round and you're starting to suck wind a little bit, move around and defend yourself. Catch your breath. Circle the bag. Shh. Get a quick breather. So it just, again, adds another facet to your rounds, keeps things fun and interesting. The last thing on movement, guys, just try to imagine an opponent, okay? Simulate a fight. Sometimes that could be hard for someone who's never sparred or had contact or had someone stand in front of them, so they don't quite know what it looks like. They have a hard time visualizing it. But do your best. Just simulate a fight, okay? If you can imagine an opponent and imagine them attacking you, then you can have a better round and it'll make things more interesting. Again, simulating a fight, imagining that you have an opponent. Get that in your head and go to work. Now my last segment, let's talk about generating power. When it comes to generating power, you need to start light. You need to learn to move properly and effectively. A good way to do this is shadow boxing. Personally, before I even hit a heavy bag, I warm up with a couple of shadow boxing rounds. Sometimes I alternate. I do a heavy bag round, then I step away, do a shadow boxing round. But really learning how to move and how to apply all the things I kind of mentioned in this video, shadow boxing is unparalleled in that aspect. As you learn to flow and move, right, you can add power. As you start to develop a really good flow and learn how to set your weight and generate power and rotation through the center of your body with punches or kicks, knees, elbows, it doesn't matter. Your flow and power by extension will get better once you feel balanced and strong through your center. The next thing is really, man, you got to build up your stamina, okay? You got to learn how to go at a good pace for several rounds at light, medium power. Do this for a little bit before going ham on a heavy bag. Once you have the stamina to do like medium power and the technique's clean and you can be effective in that aspect, then start to slowly mix in the power shots. And that brings me to my last one for power. Vary your power, guys. You can't go full power for an entire round. You just can't. You can, but you're not going to make it, or you're going to be so exhausted, you're not going to be ready for the next round. No one is effective at generating full power the whole time. And if they do, they take excessive breaks in between. What I mean by that is they go full power, and then they have to break to surge back up again. No one can do a round full power non-stop. So we vary our power, we vary our speed, right? Fast, lighter, heavy, vary your speed. That is effective on the heavy bag, and it's very effective in fighting. This is how you develop setups and flow. You learn to put combos together to set up your power shots, right?
So if you're looking to get a great workout, get to a heavy bag and put in some work. Think about the things I've said and try to implement as much as you can to keep your training fun and interesting. As I mentioned, there are numerous details that go way beyond what is covered in this video when it comes to the deeper intricacies of striking. You can probably find more tips and workouts online, but as I mentioned, I still feel that if you really want to learn how to strike effectively, you should seek out a good coach or gym that can provide this for you. But if you are just looking to get some bag work as a means of getting in shape or staying super fit, get your bag, get a timer, and get to training.